these are all the business ventures that I failed to start. I'm someone who thought that they were going to be a millionaire at 18, then 20, then 21, then 22, yeah. And there are a lot of businesses and initiatives that I tried to start that I thought were going to get me there and didn't. So I wanted to go through some of those and tell you why they failed, what I did wrong, and have some laughs about some of these along the way. First up is Jidwa Clothing. So I tried to be one of those guys back in 2014, who started a clothing brand. At the time I was like 15, and I thought I had the next big hit on my hands. So the name Jidwa Clothing was a combination of the names of myself and two of the people I was working with. I won't say who they are to save them the embarrassment. And I also chose the name because I thought it sounded French, and I thought a French sounding clothing brand would help me. It did not. So the idea behind Jidwa Clothing was that it was meant to be a animal print themed clothing brand that took inspiration from brands like Tom Hardy from way back in the day, but made a company that was more kind of simplistic, more minimalist. One of the reasons why I actually tried to start it was because back then somebody I knew at school as well had also started a clothing brand, and his was doing pretty well, and so I thought if somebody else could do it, I could probably do it too. His did very well, mine did not. So how far did I get? I got mock-ups made. I had one of my best friends in the world model some of the clothing. And I just never went any further from there. So I think after a while I realized the concepts and the designs probably weren't as good as I thought that they were. And I think I also didn't have enough money to pursue it at the time, and I just got cold feet because a lot of kids were making fun of me at school. So I left that behind, and now Jidwa basically lives as a funny story I tell people sometimes. Okay, moving on to the next one, and this one is slightly more of an emotional one. Strength from Within. So Strength from Within is/was a social mobility organisation. When I was in university, there were a lot of people around me who didn't have the skills or the experiences to go for internships at some of the big companies that we were applying for at the time. In addition to that, I kind of noticed a trend with a number of organisations trying to help young people, mainly those meeting certain social mobility criteria, that a lot of those organisations were pushing these young people towards big corporates, consulting, finance, law. And I felt as though those paths weren't for everybody. Yep, I wasn't the best corporate person even back then. And I decided to try and make this organisation to help young people realise what their true passions were, try and grow their skills in those passions, and pursue careers that would most align with what it is that they actually want to do. So how far did we get? Strength Within actually did pretty good. My team and I held a number of different programs over a course of a few years, helped a couple of young people. Some of those young people actually ended up working in the same firm that I was at. It wasn't because of me, but just coincidence. I was really happy with it. Now, about a year in, we tried to turn Strength Within into a fully fledged social enterprise where young people who weren't doing so well with traditional education could come, get a skills course in a skill that they were interested in, coding, graphic design, an early stage accounting course, photography, whatever, and take the skills that they learn to actually go out and find a job. We would basically provide them with an informal qualification, work with businesses to prove the credibility of the qualification, and then help those young people to get the jobs of their dreams, basically. But I was doing this while I was still at uni, and my final year of university wasn't the best year for me, mentally, physically, whatever. And so over time, my team and I basically decided to stop what we were doing, with the aim to come back to it in a few years and create that model when we actually had the time and things like that. We actually tried to pick it up again once or twice after university, but in the same fashion, I had things going on, other people had things going on, and it didn't actually work. I want to come back to this one day because I still really believe in the model, but Strength Within, unfortunately, is added to that list. Now, you know I'm still passionate about this one because the Strength Within sticker is still very much on my laptop. Okay, so the next one's going to be a little bit confusing, but bear with me. Conversations with Myself. Now, this channel is called Convos with Myself, and it's named after a channel that I wanted to start a few years ago. The idea behind Conversations with Myself was I was on a year abroad at the time, and I wanted to create a channel where I basically just discussed things that were interesting to me. The TV shows I liked, the music I liked, all of that kind of thing. And also gave my experiences whilst being on a year abroad and getting away from my life in the UK for a year. Now, how far did I get? I created the poster, I put the poster on my Instagram, told everyone it was coming, and I did nothing with it. To be honest, I think the main reason was because I was scared. I thought people would judge me for trying to create a podcast and talk about myself and my experiences. And so I just decided not to do it. But all these years later, here we are, Convos with Myself. The dream continues, and we finally made it happen. Okay, so the next two on the list are going to confuse people that know me, because a lot of people that know me know that I have been doing these two things, and for one of them in particular, you're going to wonder why I put it on the list, because it's probably still running. And so the first one is Next Steps Collective. And Next Steps Collective was a spin-off of Strengthen Within back in 2022. And to get a little bit vulnerable, back in 2022, I was seeking therapy because I have OCD. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. And I realized that I was able to afford the specialist treatment I had because of the job that I because of the job that I had at the time. And in a way, I kind of felt bad about that, because I knew that there were probably a lot of people out there going through similar things to me who couldn't get that specialist care very, very quickly to help them through that situation. So I created Next Steps Collective, and the idea for it was we would help young people to gain access to private mental health care, funding towards what they needed for their education, and to get seed funding for any business ideas that they had. Our focus was young people aged like 16 to 22. But I didn't just want to make a charity. I wanted to try and make a business that could take care of itself. And so my team and I added the enterprise support pillar, where somebody would come and say, hey, I want to start a business. I need an amount of funding. And we would provide them with a small amount of funding in exchange for a percentage of their business for a pre-agreed period of time. And it was great. We actually got really far with it. We created the website, we created documents, we got contracts together and actually signed, we got money in, but we never properly launched. And there were a few reasons for this. Work was really busy. I think I underestimated the busyness that a corporate job can provide you with. And so I didn't have the time to go and do it as much as I wanted to. Similar situation for my team. The company I was working for at the time, there were some things I had to explain to them before they were comfortable with me actually doing it. So that was an obstacle. And also, I think we struggled somewhat to think about how we could actually reach the target audience, because schools weren't necessarily taking us seriously at certain times and things like that. But I still love this idea. And the main person I was starting this with at the time also still loves this idea. And I think we're going to come back to this idea very, very soon, because I still think this can actually help a lot of people. And the very, very last business is going to be one that's going to confuse a lot of people that know me. Good vibes only. The reason why I say it's going to confuse people is because a lot of people probably think I'm still doing this, which in a way I am, but given my priority shift, given this channel and the other things I want to be working on, Good Vibes Only is really going on the back burner for a undefined period of time. And Good Vibes Only was a travel company, but let's say a travel/event company, where people could come and receive my help to plan a holiday or plan an event for them. The reason why I started it is because I'm someone who loves to travel and I love to host. Just last year, I hosted a 19-person trip in Malta with a lot of my closest friends, and it was absolutely amazing. And a lot of my friends were telling me, hey, DB, you're really good at planning these holidays and these events. Why are you not making money from this? And so I launched it. And look, I got really far. Again, there was a website. I launched a TikTok. I launched an Instagram account. I was putting out content. And the business just did not cut. I didn't really get any bookings, and keep in mind I opened this November last year. To be fair, I got one. A friend asked me to plan a trip to Egypt, which is next year, and prepaid me for that service. Love you, bro. You know who you are. But it didn't really take off the way I thought it would. People weren't really flocking in. I found it difficult to build a presence on social media, which is partly why I'm trying to learn social media now. And yeah, it just didn't blow up the way I wanted it to. So because I have other focuses right now, I'm putting GVO on the back burner. I'm doing other event stuff anyway, so not completely lost. And that is the last one. Now, with a lot of these, you would notice that I mentioned that I want to come back to them somewhere in the future, or I still believe in them, and I do. I still do think Strength From Within was an amazing idea and has an audience for it. Same thing with Next Steps, same thing with GVO. But I do think that in order for me to move forward, it's important for me to acknowledge, hey, these things are gone and done for now, and to be able to just enjoy the experiences and move on from them. This video, like I said, was a form of self-therapy, but also I wanted to make it to encourage people. There are a lot of people out there like me who have tried to start different things and have just fallen short of making them a success. Look, applaud yourself for actually trying to start something. It's not easy to try and start something, especially when you sometimes feel like all eyes are on you on social media. They're not, by the way, but we all think that they are. I also wanted to create this video to encourage myself and encourage others. The reason behind a lot of these things failing is because I didn't have the time or the conviction to push myself forward to actually make them happen. And so I want to make this also to encourage people out there that if you do have an idea, if you do have a passion, pursue it and see what happens. I wish I had pushed on with some of these more at the time, but with each failed business initiative, whatever, there was learning to be had. Do you have any fun failed business ideas that you started or didn't start? Put them in the comment section. I want to hear from you. And yeah, let's keep trying to make our businesses work. Thanks, guys.